Hello and welcome back to Let's Play X3 Albion Prelude. It's not really playing it, but anyway. I thought I'd read the manual because I find it interesting personally. Anyway, introduction. Welcome Space Pilot to TerraCorp. You're now a member of the largest space fleet in the whole of the Argon Territories controls. TerraCorp is a family. Every ship you meet will greet you with warmth and companionship that our beloved corporation can give. Be sure to act in accordance with company policy and be courteous to your fellow travellers, as I am sure they will be to you. Your ship, unless you have documents stating otherwise, belongs to the corporation. Any damage done to it is paid from your own credits. Please keep your vessel, both inside and out, in the condition it was received. You will find in these pages the basic flight controls of your craft are based upon the unified flight control systems of your very own TerraCorp. This enables pilots to easily move from one class of ship to another while retaining some familiarity with the control systems. There are various technical sections detailing weapon systems, flight control, race history, and more to help in your employment. Read and learn these well, for knowledge of the universe is of great importance, especially if your travels take you outside of Argon-controlled space. Good profit to you, and in the words of our founder, never travel empty. A journey without profit is a journey with no purpose at all. So yes, indeed. Anyway, let us move on to the next one, shall we? No, oh man. Come on. Actually, no, that was actually kind of interesting. You're reminded this information is not complete or accurate. Finally, be aware that when you are carrying goods that you are subject to random searches from the local police. The inspectors will usually travel in light scout classes, high-performance ships, which are difficult, but not impossible, to outrun, as various products, particularly space weed and space fuel, are illegal in some systems. Trading in them is at your own risk. Using the excuse, I just found it there, floating around, will not convince the system police. They have heard it all before. Combat. The class of energy shields the class of shield energy is... Apologies. The class of shield energy converging as two ships collide in the unmistakable metallic crunch as metal bites and you hesitate with your hand over the eject lever. Hovering the engineer, remember to top up your suit's oxygen supplies before you launch, and the feeling of utter terror when exiting a gate into a combat zone. No one hears you scream up here in the void, swamp feel. I've heard way too many of my friends scream until the vacuum sucks out their breath and the explosion disengages the comms device. Space is a cold and calculating killer. She creeps up on you, and when you least expect it, bites hard. A silent, stealthy adversary is your companion. A silent, stealthy adversary, that is your companion. And in the blink of an eye, your enemy. Then, you have the real enemy to contend with too. Practice makes perfect. Never be afraid to run. It's better to talk about your escape than have others talk about your death. Always remember, this, my friends, a word of advice from those who have been before you. Never arrive with two ships if that's enough to do the job. Break 10. I think that's it. No, wait. Whenever you go on your travels and adventures, you will most certainly come across others who want you dead or at the very least out of your ship. The further away from relatively safe Argon homeworlds and the surrounding systems you go, the more dangerous and lucrative it becomes. Combat is about reflexes of reading the enemy, and most of all, knowledge. If you attack a ship that has 10 times the shielding and 20 times the firepower, you're likely to lose. Not always, it is said, but mostly for sure. 5 small ships can easily overcome one single ship with 5 times their force. If you do it right, the reverse is also true. So wait, one single ship is all gonna... okay. Probably the main decision you'll ever make, Probably the main decision to be made if you are attacked is whether to defend yourself or run. A quick decision is usually required, and for this you need to know your adversary well. Can you outrun them? What shields and hull strength are you up against? What weapons do they have? Do they have missiles? If so, what kinds? An Alpha high-energy plasma thrower equipped laser turret on the side of a Corvette can easily obliterate the shields on a scout vessel in 2 hits. Not enough time to grab the eject lever, just enough time to die. But can a Corvette outrun your small, nimble scouts? Never. Find a blind spot, and if you can remain in it, you can unload as much energy into its shields as you can muster. But you still can't stay blind if the larger ship has accompanying escorts. See? Knowledge and quick decisions are the difference and ultimately decide whether the spoils of battle will go. If you have the appropriate upgrades for your ship, you can instruct it to fight for you, and a good job it does. If a little single-mindedly at the same time. However, there are no substitutes for good old Argon reactions and the ability to spot the advantage and press it home. When head-to-head with an enemy who has superior weapons and shielding, I will launch a number of missiles at them as we close on one another. This will achieve 2 things. Firstly, they will be more worried about the missiles than they will be about you, which leaves you free to obtain a good attack stance. And secondly, there is a chance that the missiles will strike home, lowering their shield strength and giving you a possibility for a quick kill or a quick escape. Combat is also very expensive. You should only embark upon any trade route with your credits can ill afford to stand. Laser energy will be replenished from the core of your power plants, effectively free once you have the ship and weapons. Missiles, however, are not, and the large missiles can be extremely expensive. You do, during any combat, run the risk of damaging items upon your ship, including shields, weapons, and upgrades. These are not free, and you will have to dig deep into your funds to replace them. Plus, the fact that some items can be difficult to obtain, and wealthy pilots have the habit of buying more than they need of a particular item when they come across them. If this sounds like bad news, well, it isn't. Combat can be a credit hold with no bottom, but the possible gains can outweigh the risks. I guess the choice is yours making that decision. Sometimes a pilot will bail from their ship. If they do this, the ship and any items still left intact aboard are yours. Also, when ships disintegrate, any cargo canisters held within may survive the explosion, and left for you and others to retrieve. Be careful though. Where you choose to fight, there are some systems where no one will bat an eyelid. 3 if you take something of your own. For your own, the home systems of any races are usually heavily patrolled, and getting into combat within full view will not earn you any friends. Conversely, keeping within the relatively safe havens will give you the same protection. Asking passing ships or stations to assist you may yield positive results, if your standing with them is good enough. If you decide to develop your own fleet of combat ships, maybe even one or more of the capital ships, you will have some serious firepower at your disposal, and an M1 or M2 class destroyer or carrier with support ships is capable of standing its own against all but the greatest of enemies, with the correct weapons and shielding installed, of course. You are strongly advised as a member of TerraCorp to make extensive use of the simulators at your disposal, to learn and fine-tune these skills required for whatever path you choose to tread. Mines, drones, laser towers, even shield can all be used as a successful offensive weapon if applied in the correct manner. Use your pilot log to make manual entries so you can refer to them at a later date, but your triumphs and near misses along with your on-ship recording system for future analysis. Keep those laser bags charged and your missile racks full. Your wits about you, and always keep one eye on the scanner. Good hunting and good profit, pilots. Anyway, let us go on to the next one then. I find it quite interesting, this. I really do. Like, the actual depth they went into, personally, is quite nice. Vessels. There are many vessels that you may encounter, each designed for a specific purpose, though most can be used for any purpose with varying levels of success. Most races designate their ships as belonging to a particular class, and all have their own unique versions. A word of advice: captains of larger vessels do not see you as something they should avoid. If you get in their way, there is every possibility you will be crushed without a second thought. It depends upon the mood of the captain at the time and what mission they are currently undertaking. Collisions can occur if you linger by gates and docking bays. There is steady traffic in many of the university's systems, and they all have business to attend to, just like you. A few words about each race you may encounter and their ship's designs. The Argon. The Argon create the most balanced ships that you can see in the Boron, and you can see the Boron influence that mirrors their joint developments. When you buy an Argon ship, you have a good all-round versatile vessel. But, as the Argon do not share the peaceful Boron nature, also, together with a split, the Gatling gun, or the mass driver is called? Yeah. The Argon developed this weapon according to old documents, and the Split were so impressed that they paid immense licensing fees for their own manufacturing. With the development of the Nova, the successor to the aging Elites, the Argon were the first race to install a rear turret to their fighters. All other races, except from the Split, followed this new design in due course. The use of technologically advanced shipyards enables them to strengthen and increase the shield capacity, together with engine performance. When in the past you may have laughed about the old Elite, it is a different story now. She is still one of the slowest heavy fighters, but her firepower will quickly silence any critics. Similar changes also took place with the Buster, and a new type of ship, the Corvette, was also introduced. The Boron. The Boron having cooperated in the past very closely with the Argon design engineers, even though their aggressive nature was never fully understood by them. Recently, they have built a new propulsion system, keeping up with the fast split patrol ships. Parallel to this, they developed with their Argon allies a new laser weapon which simply disables the ship's systems. Any split being hit by this new weapon will suffer unspeakable shame, as they have to be rescued. Hence, the history of frequent attacks by young split pilots has been stopped abruptly. In contrast to Argon ships, the new Boron ships are fast, fairly averagely armed, and have weaker shielding. The Paranid. The Paranid have always been known to construct good combat ships and have the most balanced fighting capabilities of all fleets. But their designers have little imagination and only require functionality is added to their vessels, disregarding comfort and more practical means. But if you're looking for a ship to still be intact after a heavy battle, a Paranid ship would make an excellent choice. They have also developed a new wide laser weapon type system that has a wide area of fire. Their engineers had to sell the design for the wide laser to other races during the recent recession caused some of sneered by the small cargo bays in their ships. Okay. But yeah, what they call the wide laser is the shockwave generator. Phase shockwave generator. So yeah. Only the resale of the design plans for their heavy wide lasers was prohibited by their special service, and are still exclusive only to the Paranid battleships. The Split. The Split are typical warriors who are, if unable to eliminate an enemy in the first shot, call straight away for a bigger weapon and more support. They are impatient and have to be the first in any combat. In their ship construction, therefore, shields take a back seat. In particular, the construction on proposal shields were fitted retrospectively. They are impatient and have to be the first in combat. Their shield. In particular, construction proposal shields were fitted retrospectively as they were simply forgotten. Their engineers still complain it was a missed opportunity to fit 2 gamma high-energy plasma throwers instead of 2 beta high-energy plasma throwers into the design. Nevertheless, split ships are some of the best combat ships if you are prepared to live with weak shielding, but have the strongest and deadliest weapons instead. It was with extreme reluctance that a few split traders had ion lasers fitted to their cargo transporters, but when they discovered that they can use them to hunt spaceflies, that is why the split personnel transporter, the most luxurious and lavish, fitted out with a split hunting parties, can be fitted with ion lasers. The split M6 is the only M6 class that can use the heavy capital ship lasers and the battleships. Taladi. The skill of the Taladi is not the ability to sell water to a boron swamp runner as it is said by some, but rather the ability to adapt to anything they can lay their claws on. They mainly have older technology, and since they trade rather than develop, they can use almost anything on their ships. Consequently, when looking at their fleets, they have the broadest spectrum of upgrades, weapons, and shielding. They move rather slowly in comparison to the others, but with lots of cargo space and large shielding, you should not underestimate them. Their combat ships are usually late to the scene, but when they do get there, they are usually efficient at the job. As the Taladi have friendly trade relations with all organic races, including the pirates, they can rely on their help if attacked. There is currently a rumour with the new Taladi prototype M6, which is said to be better equipped than anything seen so far. After a secret trial run, the Split were so impressed. At a secret trial run, the Split, when supposedly trying to attack the ship with two of their own M60s, were so impressed by it that they even forgoed their intended and usual ridicule of its snail-like speed. Pirates. The pirates decided to forego several different freighter types in favour of the only one type of freighter, which encompasses all the advantages of the older types plus further enhancements as it is easier to build. You must not underestimate these ships, as the pirates recently obtained the plans for the Pyramid Wide Laser and Boron Ion lasers to integrate into their own ships, and transform them into formidable ships ideal for capturing. Recent reports of pirates' ambushes have increased, where both lasers have been used. Xenon. The Xenon also developed further and are still unnoticed by the other races. Recently, you can notice more and more new ships appearing, where the Argon design is missing, and they seem to have been better shielding and faster too. The Xenon, if the robot psychologists are to believe, seem to be developing their own more self-awareness, consciousness, and their own self-understanding. Whether this development is a step in the right direction is still unsure, and the Xenon continue to attack first and don't bother asking questions before or after. The M0 battleship. It is not known if any of these ships remain after the Xenon War. The M1 carriers. These large ships are formidable shielding, point defense, and larger capacity for carrying a number of smaller ships within their hangars, crewed by highly trained professionals and captains chosen for their skill and aggression. Carriers rarely change their direction to avoid smaller ships. Example, the Boron Shark. The M2 Destroyer Cruiser class. A heavily armed attack ship, usually with many turrets, laser banks, missiles, and high speed, a formidable foe when alone, but sometimes found escorting a carrier ship. M2s are used by some races for patrolling and protecting protecting duties in both inner systems, and may be found in some outer, less secure places, keeping the peace. The Argon Titan. Heavy fighter, normally only developed by the military or larger corporations. Deployed even by the military or larger corporation. These ships pack a powerful punch with impressive shielding, lasers, and missile capability. Some are large enough to have a rear turret mounted weapons that fire independently from the main weapon systems. An M3 is a deadly foe, and in any of its guises, and deserves respect. The Argon Nova. I always did like the Argon Nova. It's not the fastest ship, it's really quite slow, but it's a nice one. The M4 Medium Fighter Interceptor. Medium shielding and weapons make most M4s a good all-round choice for a trader or bounty hunter. Many stations also hold small fleets of these M4s in defensive modes or stances. The M5 Scout, fast and maneuverable. The M5 make up for their lack of shielding and offensive weapons with their agility and speed. Used as a patrol ship in many sectors, and many system police favour them for their ability to catch would-be smugglers. They also make an excellent ship for small passenger cargoes. I'm just saying right now, that is not an Argon discovery. The M6 Corvette. A ship designed for the wealthy business Mongol, used by some military for their special operations divisions, reasonably fast with a good cargo base, multiple turrety lasers and the ability to hold a single scout ship, making them a very versatile sought-after platform for most professions. Both legal and illegal, due to their large size, they lack a great maneuverability. The Split Dragon is a thingy. I just remembered though, we never actually found out what that ship was. I think it must have been the AP Hammer. Maybe our father was controlling that through his mind or something? Well, I don't know. What can you do? Anyway, TL class large transporters. These enormous ships are required to carry factories and stations around the systems. They are mostly hired for a particular job, and only the wealthiest can afford to maintain one of them for their own uses. Like the carriers and destroyers and corvettes, the TL class ships cannot enter the relatively small docking bays of stations and ships. They are required to dock at stations and have external docking facilities like shipyards. They are required to dock at stations that have external docking facilities like shipyards. One laser mount in cockpit and one in the back. Sure, okay. TP, or transportation vessels. These shuttlecraft can be found all over the universe, ferrying passengers from one place to another. Their development was necessary as use of the cargo compression technology caused unexpected long-term physical damage, hence the construction of an all-passenger transports without internal compression systems. Nevertheless, it has become technically superb as the cabins can be changed and merged so they become a cargo hold instead of passenger cabins. You can now transport passengers and utilize any unused space for transportation of goods. Only the space used for goods can be compressed within the cargo compression. The respective equipment differs from race to race, while the Boron like relaxing in travel in plush surroundings with bars, projection rooms, and discussion forums. Paranid and Argon prefer more mundane style. Where Paranid travel in groups of 3, the Talari ships price is important. In Talari ships, price is important. Hence their interiors are very sparse and cramped. VIPs should not be transported in Talari TPs. The most luxurious ships are from Split, who sometimes organize extended hunting parties in them. Everything is installed in the Split vessels, and the owners continually show off their new modifications to their friends. Paranid Hermes is the example. That's the word I'm looking for. Grr. The TS class transports. TS ships, transport ships, designed solely for the hauling of large quantities of goods. Slow and unwieldy, these ships are the backbone of all space trading markets. Some recent additions have mounted laser turrets to defend against attack. The Paranid Demeter is the example. Other UIOs, or unidentified objects, are any vessels or objects that are not held in the TerraCorp database. There is also other ships that do not fall under a particular class. One such ship is the Gonar transport shown below. This ship has no weapons, and the vessel is used for the religious Gonar sect to transport their people and spread the word across the universe. We'll also encounter pirate vessels of all types, and the pirates use other races' ships modified to their own ends. And the wealthy pirate groups even have their own ship designs. Plus, the Xenon can be found in the remotest sectors in small numbers. Inhabitants and various races that make up the X-Universe inhabitants come from many areas of space normally linked by jump gates, and have a varied and detailed background. Boron. Though the X-Universe throughout the X universe even. The Borons are famous for their wisdom, wealth, and for their sophistication of their spaceships. These ships are shimmering green in colour with the most powerful engines that show the white light and are among the fastest and most manoeuvrable ships in the universe. They are also armed with a very sophisticated weapons, defense shields, and, with the exception of the Argon, are the best spacecraft in the universe. That's quite a claim. Okay. Despite being members of the Foundation Guild and holding strong allegiances with the Argon, because of their peaceful nature, the Boron are friends with all races in the X universe. They currently hold trading agreements with both the Taladi and Paranid. However, did they really say all? Oh, okay. Are very wary of the split, and the relations between the two races are strained. The Boron have no direct contact with the Xenon. However, as allies to the Argon, they are very much aware of them and of the dangers they present. Despite being called the Kingdom of Boron, the Boron race are actually ruled by an elect government. They do, however, have a royal family who acts as figureheads for the kingdom state, and the current head of the ruling family is 50-year-old Queen Atreus. Her husband, King Rolk, was killed in a space cruiser when it crash-landed in the nearby space station, leaving her daughter, Princess Menelaus, as the heir apparent. Paranid. Despite their many historical disagreements, the Paranid are still allied to the split, and through their membership to the Prophet Guild, the Talari. In addition to being the members of the Prophet Guild, the Paranid allow all of the races to trade openly throughout their sectors of space. However, relations between the Paranid and the Argon are still very strained, and trade is the only contact the two races have with each other. Even to this day, their strange rites and religious beliefs are the mystery to the other races and virtually impossible to befriend or even understand them. These rites also forbid any member from another race settling or living on a Paranid colony. Not that many would ever want to, due to the fact that the Paranid prefer to settle on planets that are too hot for other races. Split. Even now, the Split control large areas that are used to be the territories owned by the Kingdom of Boron. They continue to use the rare Marquis spacefly as a propulsion system and continue to successfully trade within the Prophet Foundation. Whilst relationships between the Foundation Guild and the Prophet Guild remain on the surface cordial, relations between the Split and other races are constantly being degraded and now on the border of war. This is due to both the natural aggression of the Split and their continued exploitation of the Marquis spacefly. Despite being peaceful by nature, the Boron are always eager to reclaim their lost territories back while awaiting for any opportunity to attack the Split. The Argon are suspicious of the Split's supposed friendship with the Xenon. The Split and the Xenon tolerate each other and have already had one slight war, but at the time neither of them could see an easy victory or any territorial advantages to come and they came to terms. Sorry about that. However, this treaty is very shaky and war is expected if the relationship deteriorates any further. The Split maintain a frosty friendship with the Paranid, but will never forgive them for not joining with them against the fight with the Xenon. Taladi. Most of the races in the X universe do not like the Taladi and prefer to refer to them as greedy and lazy. Sometimes they're even referred to as stupid, but that is only by races that have never traded with them. The Taladi drive some to the hardest bargains in the X universe, and always come out to the situation with a profit. There is a reason why certain races have banned the Taladi from trading in their territories or sectors. Hence, the Taladi are always on the lookout for trading partners. It is believed that they finance many of the pirate operations that operate throughout the X universe. Indeed, many races think there is no coincidence that their ships are being captured by their high-tech equipment looted by pirates after refusing to trade with the Taladi. Their own technology tends to lag behind the rest of the occupants of the X universe, but being Taladi, they would rather buy and trade what they need, rather than spend their own money on research and development. Hence, the Taladi have access to all the high-tech equipment, engines, and weapon technology amongst all the other races. Argon. Today, the Argon Federation is wealthy and encompassing a large number of very different types of planets. Some are hot deserts, whilst others are icy wastelands. The planet Argon Prime is the heart of the Argon Federation, and it is the residence of the government and all administration. It is also one of the most exciting planets in the X universe. Wait, what? Okay. As well as being the home of culture and science and learning. It is also the home of the finest entertainment, as well as housing the finest geodesic holiday homes. It is thousands of bars, restaurants, theatres, casinos, hologramic cinemas, holiday villas, everything in fact that makes the finest rest and recreation centres in the known universe. The Argon Federation is governed by an elected parliament, with each city council and space station represented by senators elected by their own people. The leader of the Argon Parliament is called the President. Currently this position is held by the male Argon Fran Haron Xenon. Today, throughout the X universe, there is no contact between the Xenon and any other race. The Xenon are not allied with any trading organization or to either of the guilds. This does not... Wait, what? They do not use credits, nor is it known what currency they use. They appear to have no interest in either technology or trade of any other race. Despite many attempts to discover it, the location of the Xenon home planet is still unknown, so the size of the territory that the Xenon control. Hence, on most star maps, possible Xenon sectors are indicated only by question marks. Not many ships dare to venture into this territory. Unfortunately, most brave enough to do so never return. Xenon pilots are very aggressive. Their own directive is a policy: if it moves, shoot it. Their ships are fast, well protected, and heavily armed, and their engines give off a distinctive blue afterglow. A special undercover department based in the Argon Federation Academy on Argon Prime has researched the Xenon for many years. I was about to say users. And are currently engaged in the cross-referencing of documentation of all positive Xenon ship sightings. There is some talk that within the near future they are planning to finance some undercover expedition deep into the Xenon territory in an attempt to locate the Xenon homeworld. Currently unknown. Pirates. Not a race in and of themselves, but a group of like-minded criminals who specialise in various legal activities. They have their own bases, usually hidden from view, and well defended. Most pirate bases have large fleets of ships that will send out raiding patrols on a regular basis. Anyway, if you give me a second, I am going to get a drink of water and we'll continue. Yeah, we're getting quite far. So yeah, we'll see you in a little second when we get there. Okay, apologies about that. It's just, half an hour reading without really taking much of a breath or a drink. It's a little tiring on the throat. Anyway, for this part I'm going to have to remind you, this is meant to be a manual from TerraCorp. So, yeah. With that being said, gates. The gates in the X universe are the current means of traversing the universe. They allow for great distances between star systems to be travelled in a fraction, seconds, of the time that it would take to do this in conventional means. Nobody knows for sure why they are, or more importantly, who put them there. They do seem to have been left by some ancient civilization. There are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of gates that only part of these have been discovered so far, being found and mapped by the current known races. A gate acts as a portal to another gate, and another destination. These are not necessarily close to each other. For example, when viewed in a two-dimensional plane, a sector may appear next to another one with adjoining gates, but in reality there could be many star systems in between. Entering a gate has to be done at a speed that bears an exact calculable equation with the mass of the object. For example, a large cargo container or carrier class military ship has to enter at a very low speed, whereas a small ship can enter faster. Missiles, or rockets, can enter at full speed with such an event as to happen. Missile drones are minute, near light speed objects are small enough to enter at full speed. Physical gates themselves are made up of unknown material. Many attempts have been made by other races to understand this material, but so far it has proven to be impenetrable. It has been proven to be impenetrable. The gates appear to be indestructible. The races themselves have attached navigational lights that adorn the gates, and these draw power from the self-contained solar energy crisis. With integration of the self-contained jump drive technology, first discovered in the X shuttle from Earth, it is possible to create temporary gate or jump tunnel anywhere in space. However, this device still needs a lock to another gate for the jump to be successful. The ability to create a secondary temporary jump tunnel at the receiving end has so far proven to be impossible. Many years of study, especially by the boron Meton, it has been found that the gates emit a large amount of negative energy in the opposite direction to the one that they are linked to within they are used. This negative energy is countered by the positive energy that the object has entering the gates, i.e. the ship. All of the energy that can be measured, and this has been used by various military organizations for a number of years. With the possibility that the gates present, i.e. being able to travel to another sector, it has been quite feasible not only to track what is happening, but also look back at the system from afar to see what has happened in the past. Much like we do today on Earth. We only have the ability to see the universe. Oh, okay, it's not actually written like it's a manual. Okay. Much like we do today on Earth, we only have the ability to see the universe how it was, but in the X universe they have not only the ability to see the ability, but the ability to see what is there as well. By looking at the same point in space from many different directions and therefore points in time, it is possible to paint a picture of what has happened. This is exactly why Meton achieved when his findings showed an increase in negative energy in certain areas that coincided with a great shift in proximity approximately 600 years ago. By studying the current position, he comes to the conclusion that another gate shift is imminent, and particularly convinced that Earth may once again become within the loop that is the X universe. Whether any of us will happen or not, any of this will happen or not, is remaining to be seen. Zuran Time. The Zuran Time system is of the community of planets. The standardized Zuran Time, or ZT, has only been introduced to the Federation ships recently by the Talari in order to maintain interspecies mercantile trade comparisons easier. Many regard ZT as a total mess, and that it was a political maneuver by the Federation to let the Talari have their way regarding the ZT. On the other hand, others argue that a common time system was overdue for a long time already, and that the ZT, albeit a typical Talarian, does the job very well and is very precise. Many, if not all, of the Argon planets still use the 24-hour time system internally. ZT, however, is commonly accepted when dealing with other species. Spacefarers, merchants, and other the military always use ZT. ZT is officially measurement of the synchronizing by pulsar correlation, and is guaranteed to be precise to billionth of a caesura. Okay. Legend SMHDY as the Earth is in Earth. Seconds, minutes, hours, days, and years. What? Oh, right there. Caesura, the smallest increment. I've already showed that off in one of the starting slides, so I'm not going to bother. Furthermore, there are various terms used exclusively by the Talaria. Quasura, 22-minute Misuras. And Insura, 8 Misuras. Asun, or 1 Jazura. Tales from the cosmos. Sorry, I'm getting croaky, bro. The Trader's Log. You should listen well to what people tell you, especially out here in the void. Advice usually costs you, and if you get it for free, take it. As long as it is free, of course. Bars and entertainment rigs, pleasure domes, and many cramped living quarters aboard the manufacturing stations, or facts as we call them, are the places to keep your wits about you. Take that seat in the corner, my friend, and keep your back to the ball. With your eyes in the entrance and your mind in the exits, your ears alive for information. The man prodded with his finger. Hey, listen, you listen to Hotshot? He stared, one eye half closed, with the other hand, with a fingerless glove, retreated back inside of his battered grey flight jacket. He laughed, and his head jerked backwards in time, and he chuckled. Yeah, sure. I can see that glint in your eye, my friend. I had that glint once. He pointed out to his half-closed eye. But too many radiation nebulae and spacewalks takes a toll on you, eh? I've done the Lumakstrat run, see? It was a statement. Not many have the run in the system death streaks that place, I tell you. Death. It sits out there waiting for you tumbling rocks and waiting and tumbling rocks and covering the nebs. Watching to snatch your cargo, my friend. Waiting to steal your ship and leave you to take your last breath in your suit. His hand was back out, and the index finger was waggling up and down with his words. I looked at him, and the other, in the 1.5 eyes. What? You made it back, huh? I inquired, growing slightly wary of the old man who had invited himself upon my table. The truth be told, I trembled slightly inside. My first foray into the open space lanes was fast approaching, and I'd figured that the time spent in the Traveller's Rest would ease my apprehension. I was wrong. The man leaned forward slightly and gestured towards him. His voice dropped to a whisper. Keep lean, see? He said. Don't get greedy. A ship with tuned engines and a love of being alive? Don't fight when you can run, my friend. He tapped his nose with the end of his small half-gloved finger. Don't fight when you can run. He repeated, and he sat back, up straight. Sure, I thought. Drop your profits out the cargo bay and run. Yeah, a long life indeed, I smiled. The old man took that as an agreement of his advice. It wasn't, but it didn't matter. I had no inclination to end up like this old fossil before me, offering advice to some other new recruit in exchange for a drink. No way. I dreamt of the stars, alright. The nebula and the twin systems requesting docking rights in the faraway outposts. Yeah, I'd dreamed my life didn't include the dark, stinking bars full of cast-offs and the search for a few measly credits. I wanted ships. Big ships. Lots of ships. And I intended to stand on the bridge of my own Titan-class cruiser and survey those before me. Dreams, eh? Dreams, though, eh? Yes, only dreams so far. But if you don't have dreams, something to yearn for after, and to aspire to, what is the point? You may as well go back to the gravity side and wait for your time. Not me. I had a destiny and I intended to fulfill it. I pressed my credit bank into his chest pin of the man and transferred enough credits to keep him happy for a while. He nodded and smiled as I stood and brushed him past him. Keep lean, he said. Keep lean, he was saying as I walked away and headed for the exit to the bar. Outside, the metal floor in the corridor clanked as people walked past back and forth, trying to avoid each other in a narrow strip. I gave a glance backwards into the bar, and the old man had already changed tables and seeked his next payment. I laughed. Not for me, old man. But for me. Not for me, old man, but for me. Wait, what? Okay, whatever. I walked down the corridor and joined the zigzagging routine that accompanied moving on the station. The music and the background noise of the bar began to recede as I got further away, until it had gone completely. I recalled the main advice I had gleaned at the bar. Go to the wall. Trade energy cells always needed trade energy cells. Always profit to be made. You can risk everything having no weapons. Then sell what you can and buy another ship. A trading ship like an Argon Mercury, and use both ships to haul freight. Steady profit, they say. Steady and safe. Must be the advice of a Talari company manager. Steady and safe. Maybe going a little further out and looking for escort missions or private transports would suit me better. Go from station to station and scan the boards for lucrative jobs. I had a fast ship and I was a good pilot. I could do it right. Right? I could do it, right? The decisions tumbled around in my mind as I made my way to the hangar bay in my ship. Log from Brett, Prisoner Gamma 76142, Argon Security Establishment, Artor. You know, that's Brett, the one that ended up sacrificing his life at the end, and that's the planet that we were both taken to serve out our sentence. But anyway, a pirate's log. Yar, know your enemy. No better advice I can give than that. Oh, perhaps I should stop that. Yes, that's not working, that voice at all. Because I'm going to buckle and not be able to do it. Anyway, no better advice than I can give than that. Oh, perhaps you know systems like that too. Oh, perhaps know your systems too. The woman sat dressed in a non-conforming uniform into a space traveller. The clothes bearing the marks of the worn existence clung tightly to her half-shiven scalp, glistening in the starlight that made its was gone? In the starlight that made its was through the darkened space screen behind her. Oh, her shaven scalp glistened in the starlight that made its way through the darkened space screen behind her. What weird wording that was. Her eyes hidden behind the narrow band of her data feed, she continued to pay for the advice. No point in taking out any ship in the inner systems, where the large capital ships and security patrols roam. A quick rush of blood is usually followed by a clean death. Get into the lawless worlds. The pirate systems are where the credits can be found. If you can take the heat, that is. You can take the heat, can't you? She inquired as she leaned sideways and grasped her drink before returning it to the original position. I didn't answer. She continued anyway. It used to be easy, see? Scan a ship, find its cargo is worth a small fortune. You'd always get a cargo ship risking a shortcut. They'd never learn. Guess they were just looking for a quick credit like you and I, huh? Come in fast, from above and behind, she gestured, with her hands showing the maneuver, and then give them a full energy bank. Or, if it was one of those well-shielded company ships, hit a few times with missiles. Some pilots would jump immediately, risking a short spacewalk to the nearest station rather than be around an explosion that is your ship. All yours. Sure, maybe some of the systems got a little fried during the fight, but empty hulls still command large credits at shipyards. She leaned backwards, rocking slightly in the chair. But then the guilds got smart. Those lone, enticing cargo ships employed more defensive measures now. Rear turrets and missiles and fighter drones even. She shook her head slowly. It wasn't like it used to be, that's for sure. Still, a life can be made, and a good one too. Some pilots will drop their freight and run to the nearest gate while you stop and pick it up. Easy gate credits, look at me. She raised her arms into the air and stood, swirling around as she did. All the comforts that you can see before me can be yours. Pick your targets carefully, though. Do it out of sight and where the scanners can't see you, she said. She winked. Yeah, she paused. The best advice. Get the ship right for the job. Yes, that's what the best advice I can give. Get into your own collection and hide them away somewhere. Discreet. Want to smuggle? Take a fast scout ship. Fancy a spot of looting? Heavy fighter. Someone wants to pick a fight. Someone wants to pick a fight? She laughed out loud before answering her own question. Take the whole fleet. The laughter continued. Get a fleet and a system can be yours. Blockade the gates, starve the factories. The voice had risen to a tone and volume. Good luck, pirates, she added as she walked away. I guessed my time was up, and I rose from my seat. I heard her last words as she disappeared out of my sight. You'll need it. Phantom's Legend Prologue. The first century of space exploration. I think this is the book. Yeah, that looks like the book. I think it's a book anyway. One minute, I'll have to read this. Phantom's Legend Prologue. The first century of space exploration had closed with nothing more than an inspired and the rock cataloguing robot clumbering through the surface of Mars, and an obsolete space station plunging into a fiery depth of the Pacific Ocean. Even the stunning vistas of the Hubble telescope and its successors inspired nothing more than a glossy coffee table books and exotic screensavers. A controversial but promising experiment in the Finnish lab reduced the apparent weight of an object to 0.2%, failed to lead to propulsion breakthrough despite the vast funds spent to further the research. Disappointed, the world turned inward and addressed its mounting environmental problems. Entering the first quarter of the 21st century, befrit with the spirit that had originally driven the pathways to the stars, the focus remains until the young genius emerged from the University of Tokyo to rewrite the laws of physics and once again direct the eyes of the species upwards. His name was Ashazana Kazuko, the creator of the first artificial wormhole. The technique used massive amounts of energy and outraged the respectable physicsmen. Sorry about that, that's a cat. Physicists, but it worked. Once the breakthrough was made, Advance crowded on the heels of Advance. I'm assuming that's meant to be. First, he created a second of the holes in space, and he linked them to form a gate through the fabric of space and time. He then transported small objects across the lab. Finally, after carefully moving one gate to Sydney, he successfully teleported a rabbit. It emerged and, shocked but alive, to find itself the most famous animal on the planet. Galvanized in humanity, returned to the moon with what was now literally a small step. And this time they did not turn back. A larger gate was shuttled to the orbit of Mars, and the building on the success of the whole solar system was explored. But still the stars lay beyond the reach, as a jump gate was still required at each end for the journey. It would take 70 years to deploy one to the nearest solar system, but one was launched outwards towards Alpha Centauri by the world now impatient to open new frontiers. Fortunately, the human race did not have to chaff for 3 generations while the new gate sailed towards a nearby star. Informed by the new physicists, astronomers discovered many of the objects could be previously classified as black holes, displayed all the characteristics of artificial wormholes. Astoundingly, a whole new network of jump gates existed and humans could tune into it. At least the way was open to the stars, and an exploration mission was hastily assembled. The planet research vessel Winter Blossom and the 12-person crew of pilots and scientists, led by Captain Farnham, had set out to the unknown, and 2 years later mapped an extensive system of jump gates spanning the entire galaxy. They recorded many strange and wonderful sights, but the astonishing discovery was the absence of intelligent life. even on planets well suited for evolution, it appeared that the unknown builders of the network had deliberately constructed jump gates only in uninhabited solar systems. A new age was born, and having conquered want and disease, humanity emerged from its childhood united and inspired by one goal: expansion. Huge automated ships equipped with leading-edge intelligence, artificial intelligence, and gifted with the ability to replicate were sent out. Their objective? To prepare vast reservoirs of habitable planets for the arrival of humanity. For many years, the terraformer fleet implemented this directive, and colonies grew in their way until disaster struck. It began as a minor software error, but as the terraforms continued to adapt to meet their new circumstances and build more of themselves to propagate like a virus, cascading throughout the systems and threatening them with extinction. They fought back, but in the process of adjusting their neural nets and software to cope with the threat of the unimaginable happened. The terraformers overwrote their primary directive and purged their memory cores. Now motivated only to survive and expand their creators. Okay. Were now alien, and aliens were a threat and an obstacle. Threats must be destroyed and obstacles removed. So it began the great and terrible Terraformer War, which caught humanity unprepared and almost defenseless. Colony after colony were destroyed until Earth itself lay on a precipice and in ruin. Prostrate? Desolate and in ruins. Sorry, I couldn't find how you might say that. Its ragtag defences no match for the destructive power of its former servants. The complete destruction of the species was averted only by the inspired actions of a former pirate and smuggler, Nathan Argoon, rallying a small and ill-equipped remnants of the Earth fleet around his own flagship, the Dragonflyer. He lured the terraformers through a jump gate out of the Sol system into the pursuit of his retreating vessels. The remaining survivors destroyed the gate and prevented the terraformers from returning, and in doing so slammed the door shut again to the stars. The fate of those 400 human ships and 150 strong terraformer armada remained a mystery. It took 5 long, dark centuries of traumatized humanity to recover and thrive anew. It was in the healing process that it forgot much. Even the name of the inventor of the jump gates was lost along with the other billions who died. Memory and pain repressed and buried deep within the collective psyche. However, the names of the following people remain vivid for all time. Neil Armstrong, the one who opened the door to space. Captain Phantom, the one who presented the stars to the kings. And Nathan Argooner, the one who took them away again. Okay, that was actually kind of chilling. Woo. But anyway, I will leave it there, and until next time, all the best, and I hope you enjoyed. I really did, and I actually kind of enjoyed reading this book properly. I only really, glanced over it in the past. It was like, oh yeah, that was kind of cool, and then just kind of left it because dyslexia, basically. I just saw, big walls of text like this, and I was like, oh no. But yeah, reading it aloud is pretty much as fast as I would be able to read it myself anyway. And hey, I thought it'd be fun to look at it. So, I'll leave it there, and until next time, all the best, and I hope you enjoyed the lore. So, yeah. One thing I will say is that I didn't know is the gates were actually already there. I thought the terraformers had built all the gates, but no, the gates were actually already there. It's just that humanity had tapped into them. But anyway, I'll leave it there, and until next time, all the best, and I hope you enjoy.